Hello booktubers, my name is Lauren, you're watching Dreams, Books, Courage, and today I am finally going to be doing my August and September wrap-up. It's been quite a few weeks since I made a YouTube video and I'm so sorry about that, guys. I'm just trying to get into the rhythm of college and it's kind of hard to balance YouTube with college, and I'm just trying to figure that out, so I hope that you guys can bear with me throughout this time. For right now, I'm just going to try to do 2 videos a week since right now YouTube just seems like it's going to be too much for me for 3 days a week, so I'm just trying to go ahead and use a 2-day-a-week schedule on Mondays and Wednesdays. So definitely tell me down below what you guys want to see on those days. If you still want to see top 5 Wednesday videos on Wednesdays, or if you want to see different types of videos, please tell me down below and I will definitely take those into consideration. So now let's go ahead and talk about the books that I read in the months of August and September, which were sadly not very many. Actually, scratch that, because I did read quite a few books in the month of August, especially during Booktubeathon, but I already did a wrap-up video for those books, so if you want to see that wrap-up, I will leave a link to it down below. So I think there was only one book from August that wasn't read during Booktubeathon, so I will be talking about that today. And also the books that I read in the month of September, which aren't very many, but I did at least read a few, so I am happy about that. Let's go ahead and talk about these books. So first we have the only other book that I read in the month of August, and that is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I know it's quite surprising to a lot of people that I did not read this book throughout elementary or high school, but I did finally read it right before I started college, and I really enjoyed this one. I really love Harper Lee's writing style, and I just wish that she had published more books, because I would definitely have read them just for this writing style alone. This novel is about a girl named Scout and her brother Jim and their dad Atticus, and kind of just all of the different adventures that they go on together. It deals a lot with racism and just kind of being in a world in which you think it's perfect because you're a child, and so it's definitely told from that child's perspective. I think it's such an interesting read, because although it is told from a child's perspective, you can definitely read this no matter what your age is and still be able to connect to Scout and to Jim. I feel like there are just so many lessons you can learn from this book no matter what your age is, and I would definitely recommend this book to anyone out there. It is just so good, and I will definitely be reading it many more times in the future. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. And now for the books that I read in the month of September, starting off with Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. And as you can see, I actually did tab in this book because it was my first book that I've ever read for college, and I really ended up enjoying it. Although I do not think that this is like the best book ever or anything, I think that it is just such a thought-provoking read that everyone should read it. It would especially be perfect for book clubs or just like English classes, because there's just so much to discuss about this book. Whether you really love symbolism or you just really love characters, it's great in both of those areas, except for the fact that the plot was definitely a bit lacking in this read. So if you're a person that definitely likes books that are plot-driven, you might not like this one as much, but I would still recommend picking it up because it is so thought-provoking and it really makes you think about things in different ways and just think about technology in a different way. Because although this book is centered around this pandemic that kills most people in the world, a lot of it has to do with the technology and the lack thereof of it, and also of arts and culture and just all these interesting things that we don't think about whenever we think about the end of the world coming or anything like that. So as I've already said, it's just so thought-provoking, and I would definitely recommend you all pick this one up. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I have I also read for college, and that is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline L'Engle. And this is a middle grade fantasy novel about these 3 kids and their adventures with these 3 kind of like witches or angels or whatever you really want to consider them. This is such a hard book to describe and put in a very simple summary, because this fantasy is kind of all over the place and goes to these different planets, and it kind of deals with communism in a light way. But again, it's just very hard to describe this book and put it into a certain category, and so I think that I just read this as a middle grade children's novel. I wouldn't really like it, but for my English class we had to read this book through the veil of the 1960s, and I really enjoyed it that way, and I saw it in a brand new light. It's just very interesting to think about how this book relates back to the time period in which it was written, and within that I think that it's very interesting and intriguing. I would have never picked this book up if it wasn't for my English class, and so I'm definitely glad that I had the chance to read it. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. And next we have my first ever comic trade paperback bind-up, and that is volume 1 of Miss Marvel, No Normal, and I'm so glad that I picked this one up. At first, whenever I was looking through it at Barnes & Noble, I never really thought about picking this one up because it just doesn't really strike me as very interesting, especially since I don't really care for superheroes, but I just decided to thumb through it a little bit and it looks so interesting that I just had to pick it up. Also, I love how diverse the main character is because she is Muslim, and I think that it is so great that there is a superhero within that perspective. Also, the main character is only like 14, so it's very interesting to see a superhero that is from such a diverse background and is also quite young. I actually really enjoyed this, and I really enjoy the art style as well. Here's a little example of what the art style looks like. Even if this doesn't really sound like it's very interesting to you, I would definitely at least pick it up and just thumb through it and see if you like it. I was hooked on the storyline alone because it just seemed that interesting to me. They do such a great job of portraying the main character of Kamala, and I'm really looking forward to where this series is going, and I'm definitely going to be picking up volume 2. And so that is literally all of the books that I read within the past 2 months besides the Booktubeathon wrap-up, which I would definitely recommend that you check out because there's at least twice as many books within that wrap-up. Honestly, it's just kind of been hard to transition in terms of my reading, although I really love college and I just really love it here. Just the reading aspect kind of doesn't really fit into the studying and hanging out with friends for some reason, but I'm definitely really trying to work on it this month and also to get back into the groove of YouTube, so hopefully I'm going to be able to do that. I'm sorry if my reading is a little bit irregular and so are my videos. I'm trying to get as much content out to you guys as possible. If you guys have any suggestions for how I can read more books within college, definitely let me know down below, and now I'm gonna go get back to reading.